You know that feeling when you're sitting in traffic and suddenly every single lane starts moving except yours? That restless energy building in your chest, watching everyone else flow past while you're stuck in the exact same spot you've been for what feels like forever. That's been your life lately, hasn't it? But here's what most people don't realize about those moments when everything seems stagnant. The universe isn't punishing you, it's calibrating you. Right now, whether you can see it or not, the entire framework of your reality is shifting beneath your feet. Those random moments of clarity that hit you out of nowhere, the sudden urges to clean out your closet or delete old photos, even that weird restlessness that keeps you up at night, scrolling through possibilities you can't quite name. None of this is accidental. You're not losing your mind. You're finding your frequency. Think about it. When was the last time you felt genuinely excited about your own life? Not excited about what might happen someday or what you're planning to do eventually, but excited about who you are right now, today, in this moment. If you can't remember, that's not a coincidence. That's information. Your system has been running on autopilot for so long that excitement became foreign. But something's different now, isn't it? You've probably noticed little things that don't make logical sense. A song comes on at the perfect moment. Someone mentions exactly what you've been thinking about. You walk into a room and the conversation shifts to something you desperately needed to hear. These aren't random events. They're breadcrumbs. Your life is trying to show you something, and the closer you get to seeing it, the more obvious these signs become. Most people spend years waiting for permission to change careers, permission to end relationships that drain them, permission to finally say what they really think. But you've been feeling something different lately. A quiet rebellion against asking for permission you never needed in the first place. That voice in your head that used to whisper, "What if?" has gotten louder, hasn't it? Now it's saying, "And why not? What's stopping me? And how much longer am I going to wait?" Here's what's actually happening. Your old operating system is becoming incompatible with who you're becoming. Like trying to run new software on an outdated computer. Everything starts glitching. Your tolerance for things that used to be fine drops to zero. Conversations that used to entertain you now feel like noise that used to feel comfortable. Places now feel suffocating. People notice you're different, but they can't quite put their finger on how. This isn't a breakdown. This is a breakthrough disguised as discomfort. Your internal compass has been recalibrating, and now it's finally pointing toward true north. Everything you've been unconsciously preparing for is starting to surface. Those skills you developed without why knowing those. You made that connection seemed random at the time. Those experiences that felt like detours but were actually preparation. You know what the strangest part is? The things you've been wanting most are already in motion. Not in some mystical, wishful thinking way, but in very practical, very real ways that your logical mind hasn't caught up to yet. Remember that conversation you had 3 months ago that felt insignificant? The person you met at that random event you almost didn't attend? The opportunity you applied for and forgot about? The wheels have been turning this entire time. But here's where most people sabotage themselves. They feel the momentum building and panic. They start questioning everything, second-guessing their instincts, talking themselves out of possibilities before they fully form. They mistake the unfamiliarity of a forward movement for danger. They've been stuck for so long that progress feels wrong. Your brain is wired to keep you safe, which often means keeping you exactly where you are. When opportunities start presenting themselves, when doors start opening, when life starts flowing in your direction, that part of your mind primitive sounds every alarm it has. It tells you it's too good to be true, that you're not ready, that you should wait until you're more prepared. But preparation is often just fear wearing a responsible mask. What if I told you that readiness isn't something you achieve? What if readiness is something you decide? Every person who ever accomplished anything significant felt unprepared when they started. The difference between people who change their lives and people who just think about it is this. One group acts despite feeling unready. The other group waits for readiness that never comes. You've been in training without realizing it. Every setback taught you resilience. Every disappointment showed you what you actually want versus what you thought you wanted. Every time you had to start over, you got better at starting. Every person who left made space for better people to enter. Every door that closed redirected you toward doors that were meant for you. The timing isn't coincidental. You couldn't have handled what's coming 5 years ago. You wouldn't have appreciated it 3 years ago. You weren't ready for it last year, but something fundamental has shifted inside you. You've developed the capacity to hold bigger possibilities without shrinking back. You've learned to trust yourself even when the path isn't clear. Notice how certain things that used to intimidate you now feel manageable. Notice how problems that used to overwhelm you now feel like puzzles you can solve. Notice how situations that used to require all your energy now feel effortless. This isn't because life got easier. This is because you got stronger, you got wiser, you got more aligned with who you actually are underneath all the conditioning and expectations. The version of you that was afraid to take up space is dissolving. The version that apologized for wanting more is fading. The version that played small to make others comfortable is no longer available. What's emerging is someone who knows their worth without needing external validation. Someone who trusts their judgment without requiring consensus. Someone who acts from inner knowing rather than outer pressure. This shift affects everything. The way you show up in conversations changes. The way you make decisions changes. The way you spend your time changes. The way you respond to challenges changes. People around you sense this transformation even if they can't articulate it. Some will be inspired by your evolution. Others will resist it because it holds up a mirror to their own stagnation. That's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to honor what's happening inside you, to stop apologizing for growing, to stop dimming your light to match the energy of rooms that were never meant for the person you're becoming, to stop seeking approval from people who are threatened by your expansion. Here's what nobody tells you about personal transformation. It's not a gentle, gradual process. It happens in waves. Periods of intense growth followed by integration. Breakthrough moments followed by quiet consolidation. You've been in a consolidation phase, and now the next wave is building. Everything you've learned is about to be put to use. The opportunities that are coming won't look like anything you've experienced before. They'll require you to trust yourself in ways you never have. They'll ask you to believe in possibilities that can't be proven in advance. They'll demand that you act like the person you're becoming, rather than the person you've been. This is why everything had to fall apart before it could come together. This is why you had to lose your old identity before you could claim your new one. This is why you had to experience the discomfort of outgrowing your old life before you could step into what's next. The signs are everywhere if you know how to look for them. That project you started and abandoned 6 months ago suddenly feels relevant again. That skill you developed years ago that seemed useless now makes perfect sense for where you're headed. Those random interests that felt scattered and unconnected are revealing themselves as pieces of a larger puzzle you couldn't see while you were putting it together. Your energy is different now. You wake up with ideas that excite you before your logical mind can talk you out of them. You find yourself researching things that have nothing to do with your current life, but future one everything to do with your. You catch yourself daydreaming about possibilities that feel both impossible and inevitable at the same time. The people in your orbit are changing too. Some are drifting away without drama or explanation, like ships passing in different directions. Others are appearing seemingly out of nowhere, bringing exactly the perspective or opportunity or even connection you didn't know you needed. Your inner circle is being reorganized by some invisible force that knows better than you do who belongs in the next chapter of your story. You're starting to trust your instincts in ways that would have terrified your younger self. When something doesn't feel right, you actually listen instead of overriding that feeling with logic or obligation. When something does feel right, you move toward it even if you can't explain why. This isn't recklessness. This is wisdom finally being given permission to guide your choices. The conversations you're having are deeper now. Surface level small talk feels like a waste of time you don't have to spare. You're drawn to people who think about life the way you do, who ask the questions you've been asking, who see possibilities where others see problems. These connections aren't happening by accident. You're magnetizing your tribe. Money is starting to flow differently. Not necessarily more of it yet, but it's moving with less resistance. Unexpected payments arrive. Opportunities to earn present themselves without you searching for them. The tight grip of financial anxiety is loosening because you're beginning to understand that abundance isn't something you chase. It's something you become available to receive. Your relationship with time has shifted completely. You used to feel like you were running out of time, always behind, always rushing to catch up to some invisible deadline. Now you understand that timing is a river you can learn to navigate rather than a current fighting against you. The right things happen at the right moments when you stop trying to force them into the wrong ones. Sleep has become different. Your dreams are more vivid, more symbolic, more connected to your waking life. You wake up with insights that weren't there when you fell asleep. Your subconscious mind is processing information and making connections that your conscious mind couldn't handle during the day. This is your internal system upgrading itself while you rest. The resistance you used to feel towards certain actions or decisions is melting away. Tasks that used to drain you now feel manageable or even energizing. Conversations you used to avoid now seem necessary and overdue. Boundaries you used to struggle to set now feel natural and non-negotiable. You're operating from a different baseline of self-respect. Your physical body is responding to these internal shifts too. You craving different foods, any might be creating different amounts of sleep, feeling drawn to different types of movement or stillness. Your system knows what it needs to support the transformation happening within you. Listen to these signals instead of overriding them with old habits that no longer serve. The creative energy that's been dormant for months or years is stirring again. Ideas are coming faster than you can capture them. Projects that felt impossible now seem not only doable but exciting. That part of you that loves to create, to build, to express, to contribute, is waking up from hibernation. This isn't a coincidence. Creation follows expansion. You're beginning to understand that everything you've been through was preparation for what's coming next. The skills you developed in jobs you hated, the strength you built during difficult relationships, the wisdom you gained from failures and disappointments. None of it was wasted time. All of it was curriculum for the life you're about to step into. The fear is still there sometimes, but it's different now. Instead of paralyzing you, it informs you. Instead of stopping you, it shows you where your growth edge is. You to feel have learned the fear and proceed anyway. Not because you're fearless, but because you understand that fear often points toward what matters most. Your standards have risen across every area of your life. The job that used to be tolerable now feels beneath you. The relationship dynamics that used to be acceptable now feel draining. The living situation that used to be fine now feels cramped. This isn't you becoming difficult or demanding. This is you finally understanding what you deserve. The synchronicities are becoming impossible to ignore. Numbers that follow you everywhere, songs that play at exactly the right moment, books that fall open to passages you needed to read, conversations overheard that answer questions you've been asking silently. Your life is speaking to you in a language you're finally learning to understand. Everything you've been waiting for isn't just starting to happen. It's been happening all along, building momentum behind the scenes while you wondered if you were imagining things. The foundation has been laid, the stage has been set, the players have been positioned. What felt like delay was timing ensuring actually divine when everything would align. You were ready to receive it. The person you're becoming doesn't need to wait for external validation to know their worth, doesn't need perfect conditions to begin, doesn't need guaranteed outcomes to take action. This version of you understands that certainty is overrated and that magic happens in the space between knowing and trusting. Your old life isn't falling apart. It's falling away to reveal what was always meant to be underneath. Like removing scaffolding from a completed building, the temporary supports that held you together while you were under construction are no longer necessary. What remains is solid, beautiful, and completely yours. The waiting is almost over. Not because time has passed, but because you have changed. You've become someone who can handle what's coming, someone who can appreciate what arrives, someone who can sustain what they build. The universe has been preparing both you and your circumstances for this convergence, and both are finally ready. So if you found this message today, it's not by accident. It's because your frequency is finally matching what's been waiting for you all along. The restlessness you've been feeling, the signs you've been noticing, the changes happening within you, they're all pointing to the same truth. Everything you've been preparing for is here now. You don't need to wait for more clarity. You don't need to wait for perfect timing. You don't need to wait for fear to disappear or for doubt to dissolve completely. The person you've been becoming is ready, and the life that's been building behind the scenes is ready to meet you. Stop second-guessing the pull you feel toward something bigger. Stop apologizing for outgrowing spaces that no longer fit. Stop shrinking back from opportunities that feel too good to be true. They're not too good. They're exactly what someone at your level of growth attracts. The waiting season is ending. The becoming season is beginning. And everything you've been through, everything you've learned, everything you've survived has led to this moment where you finally understand that you were never behind. You were right on time for everything that's about to unfold. Trust what's happening. Trust what's coming. Most of all, trust who you've become, because everything you've been waiting for is finally starting to happen.